Growing up, Oneida Limited was a household name, and the silverware created were family heirlooms passed down to the next generation. There were stories of the Oneida silversmiths and the community that created them. We were told of the mansion house and the giant family of over 300 people that lived there back in the 1800s. The stories were pure, a community of people fighting against capitalism in the name of unity, holiness, and heaven on earth. However, John Humphrey Noyes was the leader of this utopian experiment with a storied past that was seemingly left out of the dinner conversation as we ate with the silverware crafted by the very people that became his followers. This is the story of the Oneida Community and their Utopian experiment, Part 1.
And Happy New Year!
It's not New Year yet. We are from the future. It is
Wah, wah.
2029. The civilization has been torn to rubble, and there is no egg. There are no eggs in sight. Yeah, we're all robots. Just kidding. Welcome to Who Are You? Curious Stories of Family Lore. I'm Weetsy,
Sam Ivy.
and this is episode 13.
Ooh.
Ooh. This is a doozy. Not a doozy in a weird way. Or wait, hold on. Saying this is a doozy makes it seem like we're about to do something like true crime related. That's not true. This is we are today looking at the legacy of, I want to say his full name. The legacy of John Humphrey Noyes and the Oneida Community. Have you heard of this?
I have not. The only John Humphreys I know lives over here down the road from me and is a friend of Chris's, so.
Well, this is John Humphrey Noyes. And Noyes, like, it's like Noyes, not noise like noise.
Oh,
This is him.
okay. Little Abraham Lincoln knockoff, got it.
Yeah, look at the absolute chiseled hairline on his
For real,
chin.
though.
The beard is like, it's like a 1, 2, 3 point star at the bottom there.
Yeah, man. It almost looks like spikes.
Yeah, I will post this picture, and I might make a video. I made a video a couple episodes back and just threw it up without saying anything, and just want to see what would happen. Same amount of views, so I don't know. Maybe I'll put more videos. What do you guys think? Comment, interact on social media. If you want more videos, we'll make more videos. Um, but we are basically going to be talking about the Oneida community, which indirectly means, or which directly means we're going to be talking about the Oneida Mansion House, which also means we're going to be talking about Oneida Limited, and some history of Oneida, New York, basically, where I was once upon a time roaming around, and most of my family also has done that there. I don't know why it's words tonight. There's
No,
way
you're
too much
good.
vanilla in that tea, but that's all right. I'm drinking tea, vanilla black tea. I added my own vanilla. I'm using a cup that Lex from La Viva Verde handcrafted. It's one of a kind. I am obsessed with all of her work. I'm gonna tag her.
Oh, yeah,
This is
check her out,
beautiful.
guys. It is gorgeous. All original pieces. Nothing is made the same. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, she's insane. And I swear her pieces come with like an energy. She she's a magical being. I flew all the way to North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina before the flood. This was in 2020. No, 2022. And I attended her workshop because I'm obsessed. I love her, and meeting her in person, she was like a walking embodiment of her sculptures and her mugs. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like
That's beautiful.
watching a piece of art just exist in front of you as a live person. It was actually mind-blowing, and I have so much respect for her. And as soon as I started using this cup, because I'm doing one um taxiography reading for myself, just trying to, get into it using my intuition. Moment I started using her mug, I started seeing clear symbols. It started to make sense, and Before that, when I was using a different mug, it was just not, I was like, this is tea.
It's
I
all
don't
about the
see
energy,
anything.
man. It's all about the
Yeah.
energy.
So I will link her. I'll tag her or something so you guys can go check her out. She's incredible. She's just the best. And tea just takes so much better out of that. So back to the Oneida community. Before we get to the Oneida community, we have to talk about its founder, John Humphrey Noyes. So he was born September 3rd in 1811, and he actually was born in Vermont. He wasn't born in Oneida. He was born in, what is the name? Brattleboro, Vermont. Um, he went to Dartmouth College and he lived until April 13th, 1886, age 74. His father was John Noyes, and he was a teacher, minister, businessman, but most importantly, he was on the US House of Representatives. So
All
kind
right.
of kind of a big deal. Uh so yeah. So this is a kid, this is the child of somebody on the US House of Representatives. Born in Vermont. His mother's name was Polly Noyes, and
Sounds like a Pokemon, sorry.
it kind of does.
Swirl,
Wow.
Polly noise. Sorry.
Polynoise is like the evolution of Poliwhirl. What is the evolution of Poliwhirl? Side note, this is actually a really important question. I've been wondering this in my head and I don't want to Google it because you're right here and you probably know what's the evolution of Poliwhirl.
Is it Polly? Is there a Poliwag? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, hold on. Everybody who knows Pokemon screaming at us right now. Poliwhirl evolution, because this is important.
It is.
We're gonna
And
find out.
I'm just a little too frizzle fried to fucking remember.
Oh my
I see it in my
gosh.
head.
What did you say? What did you say?
Poliwag?
Oh, Poliwrath.
Poliwrath. God damn it. I was kind of close.
Yes.
Whatever.
Or polytoad, depending on the evolution method used. It can become Poliwrath by using a water stone, or it can become a polytoad by being traded with holding a king's rock.
Okay, okay.
So we're gonna just say Poliwrath because that sounds very cool. Back
But
to
back to
John.
Polly nose. Noise. Sorry.
Yes, noise. Poly noise. Um, well, that's her name. You know what's annoying? It doesn't say what she did for a living. It goes into all the things that his dad did, but um,
Probably when all this was happening,
oh,
women wouldn't really do too much.
the thing that it does know about Polly though is that she's the aunt to Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th president of the United States. So these guys have some connections. He was born with connections. Um, he was 20 years old and he basically started to get really into religion, and it's all because of this one dude, Charles Grandison Finley. He was a leader in the Second Great Awakening, which was essentially the revival of religion during the 1700s to early 1800s. And like those really, really preachy guys, like
Hmm.
trying to scare the crap out of you, brimstone and fire, going town to town. That's what that is, the Second Great
The guy from
Awakening.
Little Nicky screaming at you, "The devil, man!"
Yes, yes,
Sorry, yeah, but
essentially.
yeah.
No, that's a great reference. I just would like to take a second to appreciate that. I get so like focused, like hyper focused on facts that sometimes I don't give the reactions your comments deserve. So when I'm listening to the episode in my car, I'm laughing my ass off and thinking of things to say, and I'm like, wait, what? Why am I not saying these things? I am the podcast, like I'm in the podcast. How so? Just wanted to pause and take a second to be like, I recognize. My chair's squeaking, everybody. Sorry. You'll probably hear that a lot. The I'm not in the room I usually am, so the audio hasn't been like it used to be. But, once I figure out a second pod location, it'll be fine. Um, so because of his obsession, I guess, with this super, super intense preaching, he decided to be converted. And began practicing uh, religion heavily to the point where he was willing to do anything to
Yeah.
become the holiest version of himself. Uh, he once he graduated from Dartmouth College, he was originally going to study law, but then he decided to go to school for theology to practice to further his education and
In
focus in
religion and shit. Yeah.
yeah. Um so he actually got accepted. He started at a different school, um a seminary, Andover Theological Seminary, but then transferred to the Yale Theological Seminary because he got accepted to it because he wanted to focus even more.
He also went to all
Um
these good fucking schools too. Jesus Christ. Very
well
educated man.
well again, mother was the aunt to
Yeah.
Rutherford B. Hayes. Father was on
Very
the U.S. House of Representatives. Who else's kids are going to Yale? This kid had it made from the start. Uh,
wild.
and it doesn't really say too much about like if his family was super religious. It kind of seems like he got caught up in the wave of that hyper a second
Hmm.
awakening. And it's interesting to study history and to see these things happening. He was a young, impressionable male being influenced by over emotional manipulation
Hmm.
through not it doesn't even have to be religion, it could be anything.
I
But
mean, you
back
see it
then,
nowadays with other things. Like it's, like when everybody jumps on the hype train or like propaganda's pushed down your throats or like trends and this, that, and the other. Like,
yeah, yes. Even like celebrities promoting products
hmm
so that everybody buys those products, but those products suck. And that is influencer culture. I mean, everything. This is influencer culture back then was going town to town screaming obscenities and things that you believe.
Yeah, because
And
that's like modern day advertise. I mean, that's back then advertisement compared to now advertisement. Instead of people running down the street screaming and trying to, get you the information, it's at hand, it's in your face, it's 24/7. You see it around.
yeah,
Like that was their
exactly.
version back then. Like, yeah, you're eventually gonna get on the hype train and keep hearing somebody scream about, like the second rise and blah blah blah. Like you're gonna get eventually, brainwashing in a way.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to think of it this way. These guys would go out and preach to these people, to the common folk, and these people would be maybe caught off guard. And then for whatever reason, they decided not all religion is bad either. And I'm not saying religion is bad. I
No,
think it's good to believe in something. But the way that this was being done was quite literally in your face, aggressive,
yeah,
shaming you, making you feel inadequate so that you then start listening. It breaks down your sense of self so that you succumb to a new way of thinking you need to be saved. It's fear based because they're saying to
100%. Because
you, you're not
there's
good enough, you have to be cleaned, you
and there's
know.
people that have like that flock mentality where you have the leaders, the
Hmm.
one that's starting everything, and then you got the other minds that just clicks where they just follow. And then like if you're shaming one person, you go from one person shaming one person to a whole group. That's just peer pressure. Like with anything
And
nowadays.
we're going to talk about what you just said is like something that we're going to see later. That becomes what you just described becomes really important specifically in the Oneida community. Um, so the other thing about that is for every person that these people got to join their congregation, that's one more person that's going to give you money for tithing
Hmm.
because you've shamed them into thinking that this is going to be something that saves their soul. But they
Hmm.
have to give you this money. So then these churches are building these structures, they're taking this money and they're there's not as much purity in it as it's been led to believe. Some churches are amazing. Some
Yeah,
churches
yeah.
take the 10% and make a better community space, provide community care, provide enriching experiences, give back to the community. There are not all religion is
100%.
bad, not all church is bad. When it's done like this, it's bad.
Which
And when
we've
churches,
seen plenty of times in the past when it comes to like
yes.
fucking and Charles Manson was one of them, and then like was it James Jones, or what was that one where they drink
Oh,
the Kool-Aid?
Jamestown?
Jamestown, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
right. But
Look at
yeah, there's
us.
like that one, but I'm just saying there's a bunch of them that show you like there's still polygamous cults out there that do that to this day. Like where families join and give their money and thinking that, it's going for a greater good, you're going to help us out, our religion will thank you in a way, and they're just getting taken advantage of because
Right.
there are bad people out there. I don't think it's the religion that's bad, it's just the people that are in charge of it that are making the decisions per se when they do it, like you said, how this guy's going to do it or something along those lines. Like it's all about who's in charge.
Yes. And all these things are important to remember because the something about the Oneida community, they broke a lot of these stereotypes. From the outside, it's kind of like with the rave scene we talked about. There are a lot of like preconceived notions of what happens inside a cult, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's accurate. And like 'cause with the rave scene, yeah, a lot of times people are getting drugged and bad things are happening, but that's not all the
What it's
time. That
about.
happens,
Yep.
yeah, but that happens so much more infrequently than people think. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
in the intro script of last episode it says, "What's the first word you think of when you think of a rave? Is it community, safety, unity? Well, maybe it should be."
Is it sex?
So
Is it
it's
drugs? Is it fucking, like
yeah. So it's just the United Community, we're talking about all these like terrible things that happen with cults, but I just want to make it clear there were some weird things with the Oneida community, but there was also some pretty cool things where they were really ahead of their time. And weird as in it's different than what we're used to, but it was also really progressive in an interesting way. And it's crazy
okay.
that I grew up right around this. This is literally I had pictures taken at the mansion house. But anyways, we'll get into the
That's
mansion
crazy.
house. Yeah. So where was I? Um okay. This is the foundation of why he decided to do what he did is when he was studying theology in college at Yale. This is in Yale now. He was trying to determine the date of the second coming of Christ, because that's what you do in theology. You study the Bible and you try to determine fact from fiction and you predict. Makes perfect sense. But he was like, wait a second, that already happened. Based off of his beliefs and what he was studying, he was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, the second coming of Christ, that already happened. Oh, sorry. I have a hair in my mouth. Um, and he determined the exact date that happened was 70 AD. That is
Okay.
when he decided that mankind was now
Yep.
living in the post Christ era, the new age. So essentially, he started to disagree with. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, Mufasa was fucking with my legs.
Oh, okay. I thought you were frozen.
No, no, he was just fucking with my legs. I kept looking down at him.
I thought you were frozen, my bad. Um, so
He started disagreeing.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out what is the most important, and I'm also trying to like break it up because I have a few different sources, so I'm trying to make sure I'm like pulling from different ones, but my notes are really pretty chaotic. What is this guy? I keep forgetting this guy's name too. I'm like, what is his name? John. His name's John. How am I not remember? I'm just gonna call him John
You can just
because
call him,
oh,
you can call him
Noyes.
Humphreys.
Well, that's the
Humphreys.
one I keep forgetting. That's the hardest one for me to
Humphrey?
remember.
Really? Oh, that's the easiest one for me to remember. But that's fine. Whatever you want to call him.
That's hilarious. Um, so he started arguing a lot with his colleagues about some of the basics of religion, like, hey, Christ has already come, so like we can basically become perfect on the earth now. We don't have to wait for the second coming of Christ because it's already happened and
Yeah,
we're good. We can create heaven here. And his colleagues were like, no, we fucking can't. Like, he hasn't come
you're
yet.
wrong. This
Everything
is
you're
what
saying,
happened. Yeah, yeah.
we can't fucking do that.
You
He's like,
dumbass.
nah, I'm pretty sure we can, but whatever. So he continues with his traditional Christian value life, like traditional theology. He gets married, to a woman named Harriet, and they
Harriet
just
Humphrey.
Harriet Humphrey Noyes.
Sorry.
Harriet Humphreys Noyes. I don't know if she took the name Humphreys. I think that's his middle name.
Is that his middle name? Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure, but I
His
like
last
Harriet
name,
Humphreys.
yeah, I think it's just Harriet Noyes. Um,
Oh, sorry.
so you're good. So John and Harriet had a really, really difficult time keeping their children alive. So, and when I say actually keeping their children alive might be the wrong, um, nope, never mind. I misread that. I misspoke that. So they had a really hard time having babies who survived.
Got you.
So they were born so premature that they died shortly after birth. And John looked at this as like a punishment from God. He was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, you're punishing me because only one of them survived out of their six children. They were all premature, only one survived." And this was over the course of like 5 or 6 years. And so he said, you are spiting me because I know that the first or the second coming of Christ has already happened. You spoke to
Hmm.
me, you told me that, and now you're punishing me because I've been ignoring it. I have to do something different. And so that's kind of what he says. But also like he also like started to be attracted to other people's wives, and he
Hmm.
didn't want that to be bad. Uh
Hmm.
so he started to think, "Oh, well maybe God is telling me I need to be attracted to this man's wife. Maybe we all should just be married
Okay.
in a complex marriage." And so he approached this couple and they were like, "Sure, yeah, we can do that. We can all be married. Why not?" And they're like, "All right." So they all move in together in the same year. And he started to be like, "Oh my God, if we're all just, if the four of us are just fucking each other in this house, then
Want to know? I want to know if like swingers originated in Oneida now. Like if that was like the first start of like swingers, like upside down pineapple shit. Sorry.
am I from the birthplace of swinging?"
You
I don't know.
know?
I don't know. Because they all moved in together,
Well, it's
and
funny just
John
because we
was
have
like,
pineapples tattooed on our ear, like behind our ears. So like if it is,
"Yeah,
like they're not upside down.
John."
Okay,
So they
back
all
to
move
this
into this.
foursome.
Yeah, they all move into this house together, and John's like, "Oh my God, we're all gonna be fucking each other. Like, we don't want a bunch of babies," because he also is probably worried. That's traumatic. That's traumatic. Like, that's a terrible thing to happen. First of all, if we can just pause, what an absolute traumatic thing to have six children and five of them die because they're born premature. You think God hates you. And then,
Hmm.
of course, through all that trauma, you're going to look and you're going to find other people attractive because your brain is so hurt that you're just trying to feel any sense of happiness after that. Holy God, I can't. Like, that is a terrible
But
thing.
I also think he was worried about all the babies due to the fact like he didn't know if it was his wife that was the problem or if he was the
For
man that
sure.
wasn't. So like why like if because the other dude man gets his wife knocked up and it's fine, then obviously like it's your swimmer's buddy. So like he
Right.
didn't like that's a masculine dominance thing.
Mate, for sure could have been. So he was like, "Well, we got to figure out a solution." So he was like, "Well, we will just, in this house, we have to practice male continence." Do you know the Muffin Man of male continence?
The Muffin Man,
Of male
the one that lives
continence?
on Gumtree.
The one that's called the pull-out method, really. It's the pull-out method. Yeah. So malcontinence is the act of having intercourse, but right before the moment of euphoric climax,
Sensation.
the man will remove and either not ejaculate at all, like just will blue ball himself, or will ejaculate elsewhere. Unclear about what is the preferred method for this household, but the main thing is it doesn't go in to said
Her
woman.
womb.
his wife or the other wife, but they were all married. Um, so basically, then what started happening is they were like, hey, maybe we could have more wives. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be equal. Maybe there could just be like more women and like less men kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot of times they would like offer the opportunity to widows or like younger women. Younger women. Again, younger women, it doesn't say, but like that's a weird term. Either you're a
And also
woman,
back in that day, you were considered a woman younger too, like when you were younger.
yeah,
So like,
I don't know how old that
mm,
is. Um, so this got John Noyes into some trouble in Vermont. So they were basically like in October of 1847, they were like, yo, that's adulterous fornication, bro. Don't do that. You're indicted. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. And he escaped to New York. So he left Vermont and was like, absolutely not. And he just bailed and went to New York. And this is where our story begins in Oneida, because Oneida welcomed him with open arms. Oneida was like,
okay, well then
hi,
swingers
John.
swingers would have been in Vermont, not New Oneida, so you're good if that's where they
Oh,
were doing that shit
you're,
originally. So we're good.
yeah,
But he
yeah.
brought it to Oneida, so who knows?
He brought a lot of things to Oneida. Like a lot of things to Oneida. He made Oneida, this dude, this single dude, as crazy as it sounds, shaped and changed the entire trajectory of Oneida, New York. It became what it is today because of this man and his beliefs and what he did. And what he left behind is so truthfully beautiful. And it's something that, like, I am so proud to show people the Mansion House. Like, everybody knows about the Mansion House. Uh, the Oneida Limited, we're gonna get into everything that the Oneida community did and how they changed and shaped Oneida, New York, and the surrounding areas, and microwaves. What? There's just so much. There's a lot of weirdness, but there's a lot of good too. Now, where we left off was he just absconded to New York. He escaped Vermont because they were like, we're gonna, and you've been indicted for adultery. Um, and like a lot of it, basically. So, and I guess he was safe in New York. I'm not sure of how the laws were back then, if he was safe because of the law or if he was just safe because they had no idea where he went.
Yeah,
Not sure.
information traveling back in the day, didn't go far.
Yeah. So, the information that I just shared with you is kind of like a compilation, a summary of some footnotes from the book that I just ordered. Uh, did I put the name of the book down here? No, but it is open on my Kindle. So I should be able to look really quick. A lot of what I've been talking about is from Oneida, from Freelove Utopia to the Well Set Table this is by author Ellen Wayland Smith. Did you hear all of that?
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
did, I
cool.
did. Sorry, I
No, I
wasn't
just
sure if there
wanted
was more.
no, you're good. I just wanted to make sure me like closing out of it didn't mess it up. Um, so yes. Uh, so a lot of that was kind of like taken from there, also taken from truthfully some Wikipedia. Um, but then a lot of this information is also taken directly from oneidacommunity.org, as well as the socialwelfare.edu is another website. It's from their library files. And then there's also Tapatalk, which is a forum where people were talking about the Oneida community and sharing information and stories. So some of that is from that as well. So it's a combination of some local lore, like word of mouth lore, but also some factual stuff too. For the rest of this episode, I'm going to talk about the Oneida community, how it was formed, and just some basic information. And then I'm going to talk about the mansion house and why that was created. And then we'll leave it off there. And then next week, we will go into some of their specific practices and more into like the complex marriage dynamic and some of those other situations.
Okay.
So, John Noyes moved to New York, Oneida, New York, and this was in 1848. So, he considered himself a preacher, a perfectionist preacher, and we're going to talk about that, what that means. Um, This community, according to the Oneida Community website's statement about who they were, quote unquote, this religiously based perfectionist community challenged contemporary social views on property ownership, gender roles, child rearing practices, monogamous marriage, and work. The Oneida community's insistence on lifelong learning and determination to make all work enjoyable as they built their utopia fostered a work ethic and well of industriousness that sustained the group for over 30 years, making them one of the most successful and longest lasting communal experiments of the 19th century.
Okay.
I want to get back to in the first part of the 19th, so in the early 1800s, there were a lot of people all over the United States forming these like religious communities,
Yeah.
but typically at the center of these communities was one leader. That leader, what they said went. And with the Oneida community, that is kind of true, but it's also kind of not. It was a family. And their goal was to create spiritual perfection and harmony, to create that utopian heaven on earth. Because John Noyes believed that you could create heaven. There was a specific way to do it. And if you followed all of those guidelines, that was heaven. You created
Yeah.
it on earth. That was the goal. Um, so we talked about the Second Great Awakening with that preacher dude who kind of influenced him.
Hmm.
He's carrying these kind of intense beliefs with him. Trying to, I went over a lot of this.
And after, him feeling like he got cursed with, his children dying and stuff because he wasn't creating that, now he thinks, I'm gonna create this, and if I can create this, then, like we should do it, like he's just trying, get the curse off of him in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to find perfection and get over all those losses. Yeah. Um, Perfectionism is basically the belief that you can achieve sinless living. Like it is possible to be sin free on this earth, whereas most other religions don't believe that. You sin and then you repent and you try to do better, but you're inevitably gonna sin again, so you're gonna have to repent again, and it's like this cycle. He didn't
But then
believe
you do
that.
have like Hindu and Buddhism or Hinduism and like Buddhist like beliefs though, where like if you do live that perfect life, like you will go up to your God, you will like, go up and be one until then you get
Hmm.
reincarnated into other things. So we've talked about that in
Right.
other episodes. So like, it sounds very similar to like that. If we can create it, if we can be our purest form, then we will be accepted into that next level,
Yes.
that spirit, that
Yeah. That's a great comparison. Yeah. Um, so they practiced communalism, which means everything is shared. He fled to Oneida specifically because he knew perfectionists that had land. So they
okay,
were religious perfectionists and they had land out there and he knew about it. So he was like, I'm just going to go there because I know that there's people.
shit,
Um,
that's even easier.
Yeah, so they welcomed him with open arms, like, yeah, come on, we have land. And they built their first communal dwelling in 1848, and then they built the mansion house later. So their first dwelling was smaller, and again, this was because he knew people. So he had a connection. Of course, he had a connection. Again, the son of a dude on the U.S. House of Representatives, and his mother is the aunt of
Yeah,
Rutherford B. Hayes, 19th President of the United
yeah.
States. I
I
mean,
gave
you're
him too
gonna
much
know
credit, man.
people.
He wasn't gonna put that hard work in. What am I saying? What am I thinking? Jeez.
I mean, he still made the journey to escape the law, you know?
I mean, yeah, I think I would too if that was him.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, like it's when it said young women, I was like, okay, how young? But if they were of
Hmm.
age, then, do your thing. You shouldn't be arrested. I get why you fled. But if they're not of age and there was more to it, well, then that's a problem.
Then
So, the Oneida community, as it came to be called, was formed, I guess, then officially in 1847-ish. Um, on the Oneida Limited website, or the Oneida Community website, it states that it was 1848. So the official date
okay.
is 1848, the year, um, until 1881. And what's interesting to me personally, I'm obsessed with 4-digit numbers, okay? And this is going to seem really weird, but it's because it's years. But it's also could be day, month, and day. These things matter. So whenever I see something that is the same forwards and backwards, it's significant in a lot of ways. I don't know how, but it is. My birthday is the same forwards and backwards, day and month, and also the year. My
Mm-hmm.
son, his day and month are the same forwards and backwards. He was born on the winter solstice. So it's like dates matter, numbers matter. So I just think it's really interesting that this super progressive, but also very kind of out there cult. I shouldn't say cult because it's not really a cult. Well, a cult technically is just a gathering of people who have the same beliefs and practices and
But
share in
yeah,
those. That's basically
you
what a
can call
cult
them
is.
community. This
Community's
family, this
better.
community.
Yeah, and that's what they prefer to be called, or did prefer to be called. And I think there are a lot of descendants still alive from the members of this community. And if they're going to listen to this, which would be very cool, I would hope that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing this respectfully, but truthfully, you know?
Yeah,
Respectfully,
yeah.
but truthfully.
There's no disrespect. I understand calling it a cult definitely puts a certain idea in people's minds, but
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
community. Like you said, it's a
yeah.
community.
Yep.
Speaking of dates and how you think it's uncanny, you said this dude died on a 13th, and this is the 13th episode. Just throwing that out
Oh,
there.
well, hello, John. John has entered the
Just
chat.
just a little uncanny, speaking about dates and stuff. I caught that in the beginning, and I was waiting on time to throw
Yeah.
that in there.
That is very interesting. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to do this podcast is because I cannot help but make little connections like that. I grew up hearing about the Oneida community, going to Oneida Limited and buying silverware, which we're going to talk about. That is such a source of pride. I would give people gifts, Oneida Limited gifts, who weren't from Oneida because I was so proud that our community, our Oneida community that used to exist, did so much for us. So they believed in something. They gave up their way of life to try something different, to try to find heaven on earth. And some of their methods were interesting, which we're going to get into next
Yeah,
time. But there's a lot to be said about all the stuff they did. Um, At their highest amount of people, there were over 300 people in that community that chose to
that's a
be
lot for
there.
back in the day.
Yeah, they had branches that extended all the way down to New York City, in Connecticut, New Jersey, um, and they were able to expand because they were their own self-contained community. They were manufacturers. They extended their basically everybody in the community had a role and they did it and they made decisions together. John didn't say, "Okay, everybody, we're doing this right now." And everyone was like, "Oh, yes, John, we're going to do that."
Mm-hmm.
John might say something like, "All right, guys, we don't want a lot of extra babies here. I think we should
Here's
probably
our
practice
options.
male continence. What do we think?" And the community was like, "Yeah, let's do that." And we'll get more into some of their practices and things in more detail. I want to read that book and
Mm-hmm.
give you more like a deep dive into that, more than what you can just find on the internet. I want it to be, you know, this to be valuable, which it is
But it sounds
valuable
very
even
much like a
now.
community. Yeah, but what you're saying
Yeah.
sounds very much like a community, though. They'd sit down, they'd have a conversation, they'd have a discussion. Everybody's opinion mattered.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they had to work as a machine. If Billy Bob over here didn't do his job, then it stops little Susie from being able to do hers. It affects everybody. It affects their survival.
Exactly. I read that. So I talked about how they wanted it to be enjoyable as they built their utopia. So like you chose what you wanted to do, what you were good at, what you would enjoy, because you can't live in utopia if you're not doing something you were born to do. So if you were born, you're like, I want to paint. I want to paint things. Okay. Well, you're in charge of painting the buildings. Oh, this room needs to be repainted. We need some art in the gallery. Like in the main
Hmm.
entrance, like you're gonna be our artist. Like they valued
That's dope.
everything. The goal for lifelong learning meant that somebody in the community was always learning a new skill, and that new skill could be harvested and used to sustain the community. So if you take all the religious, let's take all the religion away from it. Um, Not only were they able to self-sustain themselves, but they worked with silver. They were silversmiths, blacksmiths, leathersmiths. What else did they do? Let's see.
Do they do
There's
like
so
glass
many
blowing and stuff
things.
like that?
Farming, canning, not glass blowing, but that's, I'm surprised. Um, Pretty much,
But it makes sense, though. It does. Like, if you make people do something they don't enjoy, you're not going to get the best out of your workers. But if you're waking up enjoying your job every day and actually get to do something you enjoy, you're going to get the most out of somebody. I mean, that's what anybody could ask for.
yeah,
So that
exactly.
part makes sense.
Yeah, that part's good. So far, so good. So far,
Yeah,
I'm on track.
you're selling me.
As more people started to join, so I mentioned that like at the height of the community, they had like 300 members. Well,
Hmm.
that they were getting real cramped in the house that they built. So they ended up constructing the mansion house. The mansion house was it started they started constructing it in 1861, but it took until 1878 to finish it. So this was like a community labor of love where all the community members got together and they hand built this thing, which is wild.
God damn.
Um, they wanted the mansion house to resemble their heaven. They were trying to create this utopia, so they wanted you to look at this beautiful mansion and think, wow, that's heaven. And that's what they were trying to cultivate. So it was built in 4 phases by the community members. 93,000 square foot mansion house, 93,000 square feet. Um, the layout served basically it was structured to serve their social practices. Um, they designed each of the building phase by different architectural styles and specific things relevant to the 1800s. A lounge was added in 1914 by the Oneida Community to facilitate the new additional use of the building as a meeting space. So like it's still being used. It's a museum and stuff now, but there was expansions
Wild.
from Oneida Limited, which is their silverware company. I wanted to show you some pictures of the mansion house because it's beautiful.
I definitely want to go the next time I visit.
Yes, we will go tour it. We can tour it. I had pictures taken in here. I was like, I want to get my pictures taken there. Mansion
It just
house. Oh, it
reminds me
brought
of
up.
going to like George Washington's house back in like school.
Oh, I wish I would have went to George Washington's house.
We
Well,
we
there
can we still
is.
can. It's in Virginia. Oh, that's gorgeous, actually.
Yeah, it has brick made of brick with like Victorian style. Oh my gosh, my bad. Why did it just pull up the Pokemon white and blue dragon? It just. Oh, okay. White blue dragon stuff Pokemon. That's it from the top.
That almost reminds me of like the X-Men house.
Oh yeah. It's pretty gorgeous. Um the interior, here's some interior pictures.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's
She's
wild.
gorgeous. Um and I'll post these,
Yeah, no, that
but
that reminds me of like the Titanic ballroom.
yeah, and we'll talk more about the mansion house. Um like some more of like the layout when we start talking next week about some of the religious practices and ceremonies and stuff, then we'll start kind of breaking down a lot of the architecture in the mansion house. Next week, we're going to talk about Oneida Limited and the scope of that. We're also going to talk about how the Oneida community kind of is the reason we have microwaves.
All
Uh,
right, all right.
yeah. So in a roundabout way, we wouldn't have microwaves if the Oneida community didn't become the Oneida community, and we'll talk about that next week. Um, we'll
Shoot,
talk
you already
about
had me
how.
intrigued before the microwave shit. Now I'm really intrigued.
Oh, well, good. So that is where I'm going to leave it for today. I wanted to just kind of introduce John and his background, his connections, his start in Vermont, what led him to Oneida, and just kind of we are leaving off at the Oneida community. We're at 300 members. They're constructing the mansion house. But what are they doing in the mansion house? What are they really doing? And why? And how does that reach out even farther? And that's what we're going to talk about next week. Do you have any final thoughts for the viewers?
I mean, you're leaving me on a cliffhanger here. I definitely can't wait to hear more. It has me very intrigued because, like I've said before, I like the weird, the spooky. I've watched my documentaries on the cult. I've done my research on many different kinds. And like, there's always a silver lining in all of them. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, not like you've said, not all of them are bad. And it has like the same with when you hear the word rave, it has a certain idea that gets put in people's head before they get more in depth.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see, how this story formed the community you grew up in, which therefore formed who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being raised in Oneida, New York, and word of mouth is a really powerful thing. It shapes your perspective on the world, your perception of it. And John Humphrey Noyes is always kind of been this like figure that you know about. Like there's a sign, you driving out in the hills, you see his last name, Noyes. You're entering the not the town, but the township of Noyes. Out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of New York. I remember seeing that going out to Madison. You'd pass through Noise, and
Mm,
I always thought, that seems so European. Noise. It's like I'm in Italy. And turns out, no, it's a very, very. I don't even know where he was from. He's
more
from
in
Vermont.
depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So stay tuned next week, and we will definitely be having some giveaways, some contests, some interactive things going on this holiday season. And
Most definitely.
I wonder how many times we said Oneida during this episode. Wonder if that's an important. Hmm.
I
Wonder if
know.
you should go back.
Maybe if you can tell us the right amount, you might get a little extra surprise. Something a little one of a kind, custom.
Yes. Hint,
Who knows?
hint. Maybe get a head start and count how many times we said Oneida in this episode, including these right here. These count too.
You know,
And then stay tuned for instructions on social media.
more to come. More to
So,
come, fam.
yeah. Well, thanks for being here, fam.
And always keep asking yourself,
Who are you?
who are you?
Who are you?
Oneida, maybe?